are going sideways. He's watching so much tape. The one, the only, Baldy.
Baldy, Baldy. Oh, let's talk some football. Ay, Baldy, Baldy. Oh, he likes pizza and football. Oh, Baldy.
I see that. I see you got Piazzi in there. All right, cuz that's good, man. We'll keep that video growing.
Man, the more pictures you send us, they will be in that video, my brother.
Well, there'll be more coming for sure. There's a lot more adventures coming up. That's not going to stop.
Well, I noticed that background. I see you back in the friendly confines of NFL films in the office.
It's time to get serious, Gus. It's time to get serious. I got my my buddy our lads. You know, they sent me my draft guide here. So there's a lot of guys that I'm still kind of some day 3 type players. I'm kind of going through here, and so it's going to be a full day all the way up until Thursday. So I'll take advantage of all the time I get.
So a lot of GMs, I know they pick your brain. Everybody, listen. I have to give you credit here. I want to give you credit. The entire league watches Baldy's breakdowns. Players, coaches, scouts, GMs, all kinds of personnel, owners. They all watch Baldy's breakdowns, and they're all in on it. They're picking your brain because you're seeing nuance. You're breaking the damn thing down. What kind of sense are you getting about this draft? Will it be a trade draft? That's what it appears like. Quarterbacks now, I'm hearing 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5. Like, what are you hearing now as we're now inside a week of the draft?
Well, not to knock the mock, and everybody's got their mock drafts, and we see the same names and a lot of the same names in the same places, over the last 2 months. Not to knock that, because I actually enjoy reading some of them, and I enjoy doing some of them, because it's a good exercise. It's a good exercise. You start to get to know who's drafting, how many draft picks your teams have, who doesn't have a second round pick, who can trade up, and so it kind of sharpens your skills when we start this thing on Thursday night. But what we don't have is a lot of information. We don't have medicals like typically. We don't have a lot of the stuff that teams are investigating, whether it could be red tape about a player or attitude or the opposite. Like some of these kids' backgrounds are unbelievable and what they've overcome. So we aren't really privy to a lot of this information, but it does look like 5 quarterbacks are definitely going to go in the first round. It does look like the top 3 wide receivers are for real. Whether it's Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Roman Dunze. It does look like 7 or 8 offensive tackles could go in this first round. And so then you go, okay, so all I've mentioned so far is offensive players. So if you're looking for an edge pass rusher or a cornerback, I think there could be a lot of trades made to get one of the elite players at one of those positions. Because those are, I know you love the Andy Reid model of just building on the perimeter and, getting your edge, getting your corners, getting your receivers.
The shell philosophy.
I know you believe in that. So if you want to get some of those guys, you might want to trade up to get those in a really a draft that looks like it's going to be top heavy with offensive players right now.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and it's also crazy. Like the rumors and the nonsense. Like I saw somebody report that Harbaugh is going to trade Herbert.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Come on. Out of your mind. Like, he's going to trade Herbert, get all these picks, draft J.J. McCarthy and Joe Alt. And, okay. Yeah. All right. People are out of their minds. It is craziness.
It is. But that's a part of the fun, though. And then, we all believe that Caleb Williams is going to be the first pick in this draft. After that, who knows? I mean, if you want to believe things about Washington right now and what they're thinking about, what the Patriots might do. So, I mean, outside of Chicago, and it used to be back in, not that long ago, when if it was a consensus of what the team with the first pick was going to do, they'd have that player already signed. They'd have him
Yes.
signed under contract. There wouldn't even be any kind of controversy whatsoever. But they don't do that anymore. Caleb will be Chicago's first pick. They're not going to trade it. They're going to take Caleb. But then, really, after that, anything could really happen at this point.
Yeah, I still, the Washington, I think would be foolish to pass up on Jaden Daniels. I
would too. Like, look, they brought Cliff Kingsbury in there to presumably put this offense together and coach the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I've known Cliff for a long time. And, he had Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. He had Mahomes. He had Baker Mayfield. All right. He just worked with Caleb for a year at USC. He's been around some of the best young talent in this, that we have seen in the last 10 years. And one thing about Cliff, he wants to spread you out to run the ball. I mean, it's an air raid system. That's what he believes in. Now, you have to adjust the NFL. You've got tight ends. You've got short yardage situations, goal line. You've got to have those things. And he adjusted as time went on in Arizona. But I would want to believe that he would love to coach Jaden Daniels. He would love a guy that has that type of athletic ability, that he could take off with it. He could design runs, just like he did with Kyler Murray. So I feel like he would love that opportunity to coach him. And I think one of the reasons why he was scheduled to go to the Raiders, Antonio Pierce thought he was coming. And then, I think he started looking further down the road going, wait a second, Jaden Daniels is the Heisman Trophy winner. He's probably going to go number 2. Let me work with Jaden Daniels versus, I don't know, whatever the Raiders had on the roster at that time, Aiden O'Connell. Like, I think that excited Cliff to go to Washington.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Let me make you Howie for a second, because I'm curious about what are the guys are you targeting, and also to fit your scheme, right? Because one of the things that you got Vic Fangio now. This is the defense that you've been running really since you've taken over the team again. When Howie took over the team, you've been running this kind of defense. It fits with your analytics. It fits with your philosophy, right? And now you finally got the mastermind of this defense, right? The guy who is the architect of this defense. So I think you have to go defense in this draft. You got to get a couple of pieces, and you got to get a corner. Who are the guys that you're looking at that would fit this defense?
Well, this is good. This is a good corner draft. I mean, I think there's 3 guys at the top. I mean, Terrion Arnold. When you watch him, he's almost 6 feet. He's 5'11" and 6'10". He's 190 pounds. He's got unbelievably. He's unbelievably active. He sees so much. Like, his zone eyes are excellent. He just has, like, he's just in command. Like, he wasn't the number 1 rated corner coming into the season, but the way that he played, his physicality that he played with, the way that he tackled, the way he played the ball in the air. I mean, Terrion Arnold, it's hard for me to believe that he's not the number 1 corner in this draft. But if you want to make a case for 2 other guys, Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo is bigger. He's over 6 feet tall. He's heavier. He's 195 pounds, and he's a lot faster. He ran a 4.33. He was the fastest outside of Nate Wiggins, who's next. I mean, he was fastest. So you look at the way they played at Toledo. You got to project a little bit because it's the MAC, but we see good players come in that conference every year. Quinyon Mitchell fits the bill. When you watch him play, his ability to break on a ball, play man coverage, play off, ball skills, that's there. And then there's Nate Wiggins. And his 4.28 40, I mean, you can say, okay, straight line speed, that's nice. That guy can flat out run. And he's 6'1". He doesn't have the longest arms in the world, but he makes up for it with his length. I mean, he might not save lives, but he saves touchdowns. Like, that guy will track anything down from anywhere on the field. Like, I think those three guys are at the top. I like Cooper DeJean. I just don't think he's got the press man skills that you might want to have. Like, he gets physical with you. He'll get his hands on you.
Yeah.
Like, all that kind of stuff. I don't know that he can turn and run like Quinyon Mitchell and Nate Wiggins can turn and run.
Can Wiggins play space?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, you see them in a press position at Clemson like you did, but they're just press bail type guys. They're not really getting their hands on guys. I think a lot of these corners, including Arnold, I think they all have to kind of learn like how to get their hands on guys and the footwork that goes with that. So that, because in the back of their mind, they don't want to get beat. So if they're trying to jam you at the line, typically what they do is their footwork is they use their athletic ability to make up for it. In this league, if you're trying to press A.J. Brown and your footwork isn't right, he's going to stack you and beat you, period. So I do think a lot of these guys, like I thought Devin Witherspoon last year knew how to play press man. He showed it this year in Seattle. I think he was better than any corner in this draft this year, just because of that ability. And then it showed. His hitting ability, tackling ability showed up in Seattle this year. But I think these three guys at the top, Arnold, Mitchell, and Wiggins, are pretty elite players.
So, you and I talk about, because we love linebackers. And we looked at San Francisco. We looked at Baltimore. We looked at Kansas City. And we saw teams that went deep into the postseason. And one of the common threads is they had game breakers at linebacker. What do you do? And if you're Howie, and you may not put all the resources in linebacker, but you got to unearth a couple deeper into the draft, who do you like? And where does, by the way, baby Axe, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., where does he go? Because we're hearing, maybe third day.
Nah, I don't believe so. I mean, I just had him on this morning, cuz Jeremiah Trotter Jr., 54.
Yeah, we're supposed to have one later in the week. Yeah,
he's not as big as his dad. He's 6 foot. He's 228 pounds, but he's a plate. I mean, the guy's got 12 sacks. He's got 4 fumbles. He's got tackle for losses. Like, he is a playmaking linebacker. He's up in the A gap like his dad, was in the A gap. He's making offensive linemen miss at the line. He's making tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Like, Baby Trotter is a good football player. Now, he's not a day 3 player. I believe he'll be a day 2 player. But I don't know if any of these linebackers are going to go in the first round. Now, Peyton Wilson from North Carolina State is an elite player. He's 6'4". He's 233 pounds. He ran the 4.4s. Now, he's had 2 ACLs. He had an ACL in high school, ACL at North Carolina State. He's had some shoulder issues. I don't know where the medical is at. That probably, if he didn't have those, he'd be middle of the first round. He'd be certifiable first round. But that might drop him in the second round. He is an elite player. He smacks you. Like, he can cover ground. He can cover. Edgerrin Cooper at Texas A&M is an elite prospect. Like, because he's healthier than Peyton Wilson, he's probably the number 1 inside linebacker at Texas A&M. Like, this guy's, like, I think he had 18 tackle for losses. He had 8 sacks, just blitzing. His ability just to pressure the line of scrimmage, like, he's incredible. And then there's, Cedric Gray from North Carolina, who's a really good football player.
He is a good football player.
And then there's Maris Lifu from Notre Dame. Like, you can get these guys in the second, all these guys I just mentioned, in the second or third round, cuz.
Well, and that's where I think the Eagles now, when you're looking at third and fourth round, this is where I think you have to address that spot. I really do. I think, we've seen a little bit of a sea change, and I think you need, short tacklers. I think you need linebackers to win, to have an effective defense in 2024. I think we've seen the pendulum tick back toward that.
Well, I mean, they did sign a bunch of linebackers in free agency. Now, Nakobe Dean is still there. He's going into his 3rd year. He's awfully undersized and has had a hard time staying healthy. But he does make a lot of plays when he's out there. They signed Devin White. All right, now Devin White had an injury last year, got beat out by KJ Britt, doesn't cover that well, except he's got, he's 4.45 speed at 245 pounds.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a linebacker in Philadelphia look like this in a long time. They signed Oren Burks. They signed Zach Bond. And in New Orleans, he's a Wisconsin linebacker. You can't go wrong taking Wisconsin linebackers. We just shipped the Eagles' best linebacker to Chicago last year in TJ Edwards. He never came off the field. That's kind of what you want, cuz you want your linebackers. That's what you see in San Francisco and Baltimore. You see linebackers that play every snap. And if you want to spread you out in a 3-by-2 set, one's on his own side, one's on a man's side, they never left the field. I feel like maybe with what they have right now, if say they lined up with Devin White and Nakobe Dean, you might not have every down linebackers right there. And maybe to your point, maybe you should go find a true 3-down linebacker.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, how he piecemeals that position, right? You take flyers on guys that are either past their prime or off injuries. And I get it. Like, you're looking for ceiling, right? So how he's looking for ceiling at that position, it may be time to actually, draft someone that again, I'm not asking you to go for, 2 or 3 of them. I'm saying give me one that I know is going to be I don't have to take off the field.
No, I mean, look, I don't know. They have Nakobe Dean was a 3rd-round pick. People thought he was a 1st-round pick. He had a bad shoulder. Turns out he had a bad shoulder. Hasn't played a lot of football here yet. So can he be an every down linebacker? I'd like to see him stay healthy and see what he can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but look, I think there's plenty of opportunities in this draft right now to get that type of player. I mean, if you want to invest like this Edgerrin Cooper, I don't know. I mean, it looks like his medical is good. You watch that guy play. Like, he's just lightning in a bottle, and he would make your entire defense look fast.
I like Brian Thomas. Let's switching gears completely to the other side of the ball. I think because of neighbors, playing outside neighbors, I think gets overlooked. How do you break him down?
I don't know if he's overlooked, cuz I mean, generally he's kind of considered, after Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, and Malik Neighbors, he's kind of the de facto number 4 receiver. There's probably going to be 7 taken in the 1st round. He's going in the 1st round. Now, it just depends on if there's going to be a run on receivers, if they're just going to fly off the board, if one of them is going to drop, that might drop. But he's either the 4th or 5th receiver, depending on what you're looking for right now, because he's got size. He's almost 6'3". He runs like the wind, and he's very, very smooth, and he's a good route runner. So he's got everything, all the traits you want to be a number 1 wide receiver, a 1st-round pick. But by the time we get through Thursday night, my guess is going to be 7 wide receivers taken. Buffalo's going to take one. Pittsburgh might take one. I mean, you could go through the teams. It's not that hard to figure out who's taking receiver. The Chargers might very well take one at number 5. Chicago might take one. They might forego. They might just say, let's just build around Caleb. Let's just get him the way they did with Joe Burrow a couple of years ago. Let's just
You got Allen, get you another one. Yeah.
Yeah. So Denver definitely needs a receiver for sure. Now, what they do, I'm not sure. But you could go through the list of these teams in front of the Eagles, and a bunch of them could easily take a wide receiver. Cincinnati needs a right tackle, but they're probably going to lose T. Higgins, and they've lost Boyd. So, they've got to kind of restock around Joe Burrow as well.
So here's my question, right? And this is just big picture. And look, do I think the Eagles are going to take Thomas? No, I don't. But just say he's there, and that's an area you don't need. But if he's the best player on your board, what do you do? I love your inside your head. And, I always say, and God bless you, because you have a zest for life, a zeal to live life. Otherwise, you should be running your own team. But you like to travel too much to run your own team.
Yeah.
If you were running your own team, the Fighting Baldies, and you had the Eagles roster, and Brian Thomas is there, what do you do?
Well, I'd like to know, okay, to your point, if I have my board stacked, where is Brian Thomas compared to Quinyon Mitchell or Nate Higgins?
So
Where
say
is
you're
Brian
say
Thomas?
hit. So
Well,
Mitchell's
let me just
gone.
throw one other name out there to you.
Yeah.
Where is your board? Where is Leatu Latu on your
Yes.
board? He's the
Yes.
best pass rusher in this draft.
Yes.
Like, I think he's an elite player.
So do
You
I.
just lost a very good player in Hassan Reddick. You can tell me about all these other guys that are on the roster. I don't see Latu or Latu on this roster of the Eagles. Like, I think that guy's going to come in and light this league up. But now, look, he's got medicals.
See, I didn't think he was going to be there, but you're right. The medical might.
Well, I mean, it might. I don't know. Like, he's just played 2 straight years at UCLA without any problems. And sometimes, the game got taken away from him. And and the University of Washington said, "We will not clear you to play football." Okay, so you're talking to this Polynesian kid who loves football. It's in his background, and they say you can't play. So what do? All right, so you work out, you take the year off, you transfer, you're at UCLA, you get cleared, you go out there and you dominate the Pac-12. Now, you watch him play. He's just that the guy just knows how to win, and he can play anywhere. He can be your outside linebacker, like TJ. Like, my comparison to him, I'm not saying he's going to be this guy, but he reminds me of TJ Watt.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, like the effort, the size, like almost identical size. He's faster than TJ. Like, you watch him move, you watch him intercept passes, you watch him drop into coverage, you watch him line up at different spots at a 3 technique, you watch him stack and shed guys, use his length. I mean, the only reason why he's not talked about as a top 10 pick is because, like, he missed a year and a half because of his neck. And one team said, and everybody looks at these injuries differently. UCLA, Chip Kelly, UCLA said, "Come on, we'll take you." And he was the best player in the Pac-12.
Wow, man, he would be. Yeah, no, that's why. Like, it's so interesting how this thing goes, because you don't know how this draft will go. It should work in the Eagles' favor, looking for defense, just because of all the quarterbacks and like you said, the receivers. But that Thomas, man, I think is a stud. I love that kid, and I think he's an under. I think he's great value.
Point, all right, so just finish the thought here. And because you say, all right, first of all, you should never turn down a great football player. If you think a guy's going to be a great player, I don't care if you've got AJ and Devontae and all these guys they've signed off the street. Like, okay, great. If you got a great player at that position, eventually, like, they just signed Devontae, so he's here. But AJ might not be here. Like, you don't know what his contract's going to be up soon. Like, would they replace an AJ Brown, who's been terrific? And I'm not advocating, but you don't know what the contract situation is going to be like next year, the year after that. Injury situation. You get a chance to get a great football player. You find a way. You become a 3 wide receiver team. You're a 10 personnel team. I mean, you just find a way to get your best players on the field. I'm sure that they'd find a way, in Kellen Moore, to get a guy of that, that athletic ability and size and everything else onto the field. So I wouldn't say it's out of the question. It's not their biggest need for sure. But if you're just saying, let's just accumulate great football players and we'll adjust, then that's not a bad philosophy.
Yeah, it's so interesting because obviously, I'm taking if I got Latu, if I got one of the Quinyon Mitchell, like, I get a corner there, I'm going to go with the corner or the edge. But it's just crazy if those guys are gone and my best value is a receiver, and you go, well, I should be taking receiver, but I can't pass them up. It's part of the beauty of the draft. So
it is. But there's one other player. Like, if this Troy Fautanu somehow slips, like, he's the left tackle at Washington. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl guard, and I think he's going to end up playing guard in this league. Like, if he somehow slipped past Seattle at 16 and you're out, and you know for a fact that Stoutland loves him. You just know it. You could just tell a Stoutland type guy. Polynesian, powerful, runs good, great hands, like got a nasty disposition. Like if he got past Seattle at 16, like, I mean, if I'm Howie, I'm at least making a phone call, to, in front of with Jacksonville or somebody. Because Jacksonville could show, like if that guy somehow is there in the middle rounds, 15, 16, 17, I'm thinking about going up there and make my offense line the best offense line in football.
That's a great point. That's why you're building. So you Thursday, what are you doing for the first round?
So I'm going to be up at the Jets on
Right.
Thursday. They picked number 10. Now, I don't know what Joe Douglas is going to do. Nobody knows what Joe's going to do yet. But if they make a pick at 10, they've got a big draft party going on up there, and they're broadcasting this thing out to Jets Nation. I'm going to break down their 10th pick. All right. So, they've given me the space, the time. I got all the potential players they could take.
You're going to be in New York, or you'll be in the NFL Films?
I'll be up at the Jets facility.
Yeah.
And I'll be come down late that night. I'll join you on Friday morning, kind of reviewing the first round. And then I'm catching a jet to Los Angeles, and I'm going to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after the draft each day out there at the network.
That's fantastic. That's
fantastic. I'm excited.
It's awesome.
Wednesday,
our final mock, Meat Locker mock, Wednesday.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Let's go through it. Yeah.
The whole thing. Meat Locker mock. Whole thing.
Let's do it. We'll go 1 through 32.
What do you think Sixers tonight?
I like the Sixers. Look, I think Jalen Brunson is an unbelievable player. I mean, he's unbelievable. And I think he's been snubbed all year long. I just figure out a way to slow him down. And I like the Sixers' chances.
All right. Big guy stays healthy, and, that's what you need. You're the greatest, buddy.
Thanks,
the one, the only, Baldy.
We all silly like the mayor.